started was a story.
To my younger self, what's your
To
story?
my younger self.
To 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 my younger self. To my younger self.
To my younger self. What's your story? To my younger self. What's your story?
Hi, good morning, everybody. It is so good to see you. It is Tuesday, of course, June 21st. Do you know what today is? Today is the first day of summer. At least for those of us here, is the first day of summer. Today is actually the longest day that we get to have daylight. It's going to be a very, very long day. So it's the first day of the summer solstice, and here we are. We thank God for how far He has brought us. Listen, if you are in the room already, can you please say hello? We do want to see you. We want to say hi. We want you to greet us in your local dialect like we always do. Greetings from all over Africa. Today is indeed a wonderful day. I'm very excited about our guest today. You have no idea. But before we do all of that, because we're Africans and we're communal, we're going to greet each other, okay? Alrighty, where are you watching us from? Do you speak Hausa? Baraka da zuwa to you, Sanunku da zuwa to you, Yaya de kakwana lafia. How are you? I just greeted you in Hausa. If you speak Hausa anywhere in Africa, Middle East, it doesn't matter. Good morning to you. Ya ken tuma fuduwala, tuma awala, tipose wanam baraka. Niti zamzam to you. I'm just greeting you in the Kasal dialect. That is my mother tongue. You know, I gotta have to greet you in that. In Dinao to you. Wezo to you. Efwa, do you speak Ewe? Are you from the Volta region of Ghana? I greet you. Etisay, Akwa, Ba, Den. I'm greeting you in the Akan dialect, in the different various dialects of the Akan language. I thank you so much for joining us. Sawubonani to you if you speak Zulu. Bella, Ibio Kibari to you. Do you speak Moshi? Are you from Burkina Faso? I am greeting you. Teyo Tang. The Gans will say, those who speak Gan from Ghana, I greet you. Ekaro to you. Ekabo. Do you speak Yoruba? Our Nigerian storytelling friends, thank you for joining us. Nagadev to you. If you speak Wolof, thank you for joining us. Jambo, Habari Gani. I love saying it because you could stretch it. Habari Yawasuboy to you if you speak Swahili. Kotong to you. Amohelang to you. Do you speak Sosoto? I am greeting you. Kotoli to you if you speak Fofoldi and you are Fulani. I greet you. Akeyi to you. I am paying homage to our storytelling friends in Ayiti Sherry. If you speak Creole, I just greeted you. Bom dia to you. Do you speak Portuguese? Bonjour, buongiorno, buenos dias to you. Of course, welcome. It is so good to see you guys. Oh my God, the chat room is blowing up already. Good morning, Christabel. I greet you, our own producer, Big Sis Elsie. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Caspar. I greet you. For those of you watching us on YouTube, I see Christabel, you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for patronizing us. We are very, very grateful. Who is here today? Ooh, Big Brother Nana Redamwa is here. Uncle Fritz is a big fish, this whale that swallowed the Jonah some. I love it. Good morning, Candy, my African sister. It is so good to see you. Wow. It only takes a special kind of person to bring some people out. Uncle Fritz, man, I see you, SNM. Thank you for joining us, my dear. Adeline, oh my good God. Today is a wonderful day. If I don't stop welcoming you guys, we will never start this program. So you know what? Welcome, everybody. Let us go and talk a little bit about our honored guest today. And when I say honored, I mean really honored, because he really is an honorable. But before that, if you grew up in the 80s in Ghana, and I didn't tell Uncle Fritz I was going to play this, but this is very, very familiar. You're going to really enjoy it. This is a program that Uncle Fritz produced and directed and was a part of it for a very long time. He went all over the world, especially Africa and Ghana, and he brought us, we traveled with him. Okay, this is by courtesy of City TV because we couldn't find the original, but that's another story for another day. Here we go. This is a cute little surprise for Uncle Fritz and also for you before we introduce him.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this very, very special series of Sincerely Yours.
No place like Africa.
Itime, you are the curator for fashion and design in the Municipal Museum here in The Hague. Can you tell me exactly what the exhibition is going to consist of and what is going to happen?
Well, three aspects. First of all, the Vlisco designs.
On the quay of the River Zaan in Zaandam, a little to the north of Amsterdam. And this area has got associations with Ghana because it is the cocoa processing center of Holland. I'm next to the plant of the Jan Schumacher company, which processes Ghanaian cocoa waste. I'll be going in to talk to one of the managing directors of the company. But this is a wonderful place. You've got windmills, you've got water, you've got barges, and the smell here is of cocoa. It reminds you of Ghana.
Oh my good God. Do you even hear that voice? Oh, that just brings me so many good memories. And can you imagine a man of this caliber? I remember back in the day, I was a young budding filmmaker, promising filmmaker. I was trying to do something for myself and I wanted to do a documentary. And do you know what it means to call someone on the phone? They don't know you, never spoken to you, don't know who the hell you are. And they just say, sure, come on in and interview me. That was one of the best days of my life. And this is how I met Uncle Fritz. And this is how he is one of the best people I know, okay? And we lost touch. I picked up the phone again after like 15 years and called him. And in a split second, he remembered me. He remembered my voice. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing for those of you who don't know, because this guest, he needs no introduction at all. But let me do the honors and tell you a little bit about Honorable Fritz Baffour, aka Ni Ayabuafo Akwema Naya Manche. I hope Noya Manche. Yes, I said that right. He is a Ghanaian journalist, award-winning communications consultant, an actor, a historian, a comedian whose primary act was in Ghana and Nigeria. He has worked with and for GBC, Liberian TV, Nigerian TV, British TV, and private production houses in the UK and, of course, in the United States of America in various capacities, including producer and director. Uncle Fritz has also helped create some award-winning shows. Do you remember Cheche Kule? Yes, he was one of those behind that incredible show. He has served as chairman for Museums and Monuments Board member, National Theatre of Ghana, executive director, Ghana Tourism Development Company, and also as a consultant director for the Sheraton Hotels in Lagos, Nigeria. As a politician, Honorable Fritz Baffour was a member of Parliament for Ablekuma South constituency in the Parliament of Ghana and the Minister of Information during the President John Atta Mills administration. Now, I think every Ghanaian and most people around Africa has some memories about President Obama's visit to Ghana. That was very, very historic. Of course, who would be his personal tour guide? Our very own Honorable Uncle Fritz. He did that for God and for country, okay? The man who took us on tours via our television sets all across Africa on the highly successful Ghanaian television series, Sincerely yours. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop talking, storytelling connoisseurs. Please, 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 please do me the honors. Help me welcome our very, very own Honorable Fritz Baffour. Hello.
Hi. Thank you very much. I'm reeling with all those plaudits that you've heaped upon me. Anyway, it's good to see the old films.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. I looked and searched and I was like, wow, finally one. So we thank City TV for doing that for us. I cannot wait for us to see more of that. Uncle Fritz, over to you. We're here to hear your stories. Everybody's here for you.
Well, I've got a series of stories. As I told you when we first talked, that I don't have any stories of epiphany as a young boy, because I grew up in the city. My father was an engineer. My mother was a midwife. So, you know, I lived a fairly cloistered life. I went to a primary school called Mrs. Sam, where all the nabobs of Ghana's children were in the 50s. I went to school with Jerry Rawlings. I went to school with Nana Kunedu Ajimon Rawlings. I went to school with Sam Bentel, Reggie Sawyer, a lot of names. And I mean, so, you know, and it was just like time just whizzed past. So, you know, I didn't have anything that I could grasp on. But one thing I'll tell you is that I think I have to tell you a story about my antecedents. One of the reasons why I became very, very, very nationalistic, very, very pro-African, pro-Ghana and everything is I realized that I had so many strands in my antecedents. You know, Ghana is made up of about, they say 72 different groupings and all that. I don't like the word tribes. I think it's something that was foisted on us by the Europeans because we're very, very, very interlinked. For example, my father, whom I thought was a Fanti, those are the people from the central region of Ghana around Cape Coast and Elmina and all those places, when I was very young. Then I found out that it wasn't so, because my father's grandmother was the daughter of the Yana, who was the overlord of the Dagumbas in Tamale, which is about some 350 miles away. And so I have family whom I visit in Tamale. My mother, I thought was a Ga because she spoke fluent Ga. Then I realized she had strands from Brong-Ahafo, which is in the central part of Ghana, and she had very, very close relations down the road in Weba. And I found my relations in Weba. We meet and we interact. And then I found out that my father also had roots in Techiman. And in fact, the family stool of one of the royal stools of Techiman is in our family house. It's called the Nana Ikomfiameao stool. So my younger brother is called Nana Ikomfiameao. And so I have those stories, and it sort of reinforced in me that there was no need for prejudice and tribalism or ethnicism, because sorry about that. I started loving the history of Ghana. I started reading it. I started realizing that in every single strand of this country, people are interlinked. And so therefore, for anybody to say, I belong to a particular tribe, for the want of a better word, it's not by blood, it's by maybe association, and it's also by, let's say, by ordinance. So if you say you're an Ashanti, it's not that it's by blood, but it's because of a certain area you lived in, influenced by your environment, influenced by the laws and ordinances that govern the environment. So that was a very, very important aspect of my life. And the story of my grandmother, my great-grandmother, coming from the north is a very interesting one. In the 19th century, the Ashantis went to help the Dagumbas fight against the Gonjas. And an agreement was made, that a treaty was made where the Dagumbas sent their princesses to Manshia, which is the palace of the Otumfuo, the Asantehene, and the Ashanti king sent his sons to Yendi. And so my great-grandfather, who was called Chief Andor, went to Kumasi, and he was given my great-grandmother, and she came down with her to Elmina. and she stayed there and had her children. Her first son was R.P. Baffour the first. That's my father's father, and he, funnily enough, was he was one of the first pupils of Reverend Fathers Moreau and Murat, who brought modern Catholicism to Ghana. So my grandfather was a teacher, and he ended up even in Nigeria. So my father's sisters were all born in Nigeria. So it's a very funny story. So I love Nigerians, I love Liberians, I love everybody, because I realize that we have links, and you can't run away from those links. So that is the first story that I want to tell you.
Oh
Then,
God.
yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, really, really interesting. And then on my mother's side, when I was talking to her and I said, oh, you know, we Ghans, and said, we know all Ghana. Apparently my mother's, one of her great grandfathers was from Brong-Ahafo in a place called Doma. And apparently the Domas rebelled against the Ashantis. So the Ashantis went after them, and they fled to Accra, where they sought asylum with the British. And the British gave them a plot of land just near Kaswa called Nishi Amanfro. And that is where my grandfather, who was a hunter, lived. And then gradually, that is how I came to become a Noya Mancha of that particular area. So these stories, and then he married into the Winneba, royal family. I mean, when we say royal in Ghana, it doesn't really stand for anything, because anybody can be a royal because of the extended family system. So I'm not name dropping or looking down on anybody, but that's how the Winneba thing came in. And then my grandmother was a trader, and she came to Accra and met my great grandmother came to Accra and met my great grandfather. And that was it. So when I look back at my antecedents, and I've got it all on record, I come from so many parts of Ghana. So I'm very proud to be a Ghanaian. I'm very proud to be an African, because I found out that one of the strands from my mother's side is from Togo, Aneho, which is in Togo. It's a former Ghana settlement in Togo. So I have those links. So that is the first part. That's my first story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, the chat room, Uncle Fritz, is blowing up. Let's see. Nanaure Damwa, he says, indeed, I have Nzima and Ashanti roots as well as Wassa. We are one people. Moyatu says, I love historical family accounts. I mean, we are here not only for a history lesson, but to also really just find out about ourselves, because in my family, we joke, and almost everyone that has been a big fan of to my younger self, though, is we're from Burkina Faso, partly, from Togo, partly, because believe it or not, in the north, there is a part that interlinks with Togo. It's crazy.
Yes.
So,
That's right.
we're Ghanaian. So, I mean, how do you even calculate where exactly you can say you are from?
That's what's important.
Wow.
So that's why I'm a great fan of Kwame Nkrumah, and that the Africans must unite if they want to progress. So that is a belief that I have, and it's steeped in the fact that my background is so wide and diversified.
Wow.
On a personal note, I as I said, my father was an engineer. He was the first Ghanaian to graduate on Ghanaian soil. In 1935, with a BSc from London University, and he was a celebrated engineer till he died. So he was a very good friend of Kwame Nkrumah. So when Kwame Nkrumah became the prime minister, he dragged my father along into various technical positions. And one of the highest positions my father attained was the first vice chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So we moved to Kumasi from Accra, where my father had worked as an engineer, chief transport officer, supply commissioner, and all that. I won't go into that. He also taught Nachmota a bit. My father was also an actor. He acted in The Boy Kumasi. I don't know if you know that film. He was a lawyer. He acted in Development Council Kojo Krum and Mr. Mensa Builds a House. So that's why I think I took that. I didn't take the engineering side, because right up to now, I still can't drive a car. I don't know the difference between the gears and the steering wheel. But in 1960, we went to Kumasi, and I was an 8-year-old boy, and we lived in Kumasi, and It was a beautiful place. We lived on the campus. The campus was about 4 miles from Kumasi, 6 miles from Kumasi, surrounded by tropical forest, which is now all gone. And then we had all the animals, the bush babies, antelopes, snakes, parrots, monkeys, and everything. Great place, and it was like paradise in the middle of the forest. And that's where we grew up. And we grew up with people from all over the world, because at that time we had very few Ghanaian lecturers. So I grew up in a very international setting. And unfortunately, in 1966, when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, because of my father's relationship with Kwame Nkrumah, he had to leave the university and we had to leave. But I was in school in Kumasi, so I had to stay on. And it was a very sad time for me, because all of a sudden we became pariahs. And I took it very hard, because my old friends would not play with me. I was not allowed in certain houses and all that. That's a story, but there's a very good side to it. When I finished Form 5, I didn't do too well. So my dad took me to Cape Coast, where I went to the Workers' College to do what we call our World War II, my remedials. And one time he came to visit me. I lived in Elmina, in the family house, and he came to visit me, and he said, "Oh, let's go to the bank so that I can give you some pocket money." I went to the bank, and I saw a man who had been very vociferous against my father after Nkrumah was overthrown. And he pretended as if he hadn't seen my dad. But I pointed out my dad, I said, "Dad, there's that man, you know," and I mentioned his name. And my dad went up to him and shook his hand and smiled at him. And, and I was very peeved. So when we were going, I sat in the car with my dad. I said, "Dad, that guy was very nasty to you. Why did you go to?" And he said, "Look, when I went in there, I saw him and I saw that he was avoiding me. But you know something? He was the one who was more discomforted. I had nothing to lose." He said, "My enemies have made what I am. Never, never, ever hate your enemies. I mean, you always be a better person than they are if they're going to be negative." And it's true, because the guy was very, very out of sorts and everything. But my father was smiling, because he realized, that's the best way to go. So that was one of the first lessons. I've learned to try as much as possible not to hate anybody. Even if I'm angry, it's a very short term, and I have to sit down and meditate and say, "Hey, listen, it could be something else." So that's the first lesson I learned as a young boy. So that was it. And then, I went to work. I worked for a while I was preparing to go to university abroad. And I worked at the Ghana National Trading Corporation, which was the biggest trading house in Ghana. And they had a warehouse, and I worked in the provisions warehouse. And at that time, essential commodities, as we call them, milk, sugar, sardine, rice, flour, and all those things were under what we call price control. So when they came, all the market women would come to the warehouse, the ones who were registered, to come and buy the stuff. And I learned and saw another side of Ghana, how hardworking our women were, how entrepreneurial they were, and all that kind of thing. That was an appreciation. And I also say that my mother also influenced me as a midwife. When we came back to Accra, she opened a midwifery clinic, and we lived behind the midwifery clinic, and I saw how hard she worked and how hard she believed in hard work and all that. And it gave me something to, I've always respected women. I think women, we owe women an apology, we men, because I'll tell you a story. When men go to war, they leave their women and their children behind. And when they finish the war, or the war is over and they come home, they rarely come home to a mess, because the women manage affairs better than they do. So it's a given that women have got far more up there than we do. And then another sideline, I think in the early 80s, we had a problem with guinea worm in Ghana. So there was a philanthropist from Japan called Sasakawa. And Sasakawa came in to help eradicate guinea worm in Ghana. And Jerry Rawlings worked with him a great deal. And one thing that he instituted after the people who recovered from guinea worm, to help them recover their ability to work and farm and everything, he decided to give them small loans. And the loans he gave to the men because he thought the men were the center of the family. And there was a situation where the men did not pay back. the monies, because when men get money, they want to buy a new car, marry another woman, buy houses and everything. So they decided to change tack, and they gave the money instead to the women, who are really at the center of the family. And in terms of repayment, it was almost 98%. Because, so it just shows you, because when a woman gets money and she has a family, she takes care of the family first. So it's a very, very important lesson I learned. So these are the series of epiphany that I received at a certain time. But then I went to England in 1972, and I remember and this is to thank my teachers in Ghana. I was late for for the term, so I walked into my English class, and I found out that my lecturer was a man in a wheelchair, Professor Giddings. And when I walked in, he said, "Okay," he introduced me as the new guy from Ghana. I was about four weeks late, and he was teaching Shakespeare. And so at the end, I listened, and then at the end of the lecture, he said, "I'm giving you an assignment, all of you, but Mr. Baffour, you are exempt because you just came in." And I said, "I'll try." So I did the assignment and came in, and I got a D+, which wasn't the best, but he was so impressed because he said, "Hey, so have you done Shakespeare before?" I said, "Yeah, we did Shakespeare, but not in detail, King Lear, not in detail." But then he took me under his wing and helped me understand the English language. He said, "If you want to be an English scholar, then you've got to know the history of England, how the language evolved and everything." And he gave me books, he made me read and all that. And this helped in informing me to do the things like research and things like that. So I just don't take the word, I go behind it and I do all those things. That's another epiphany. So these are the things that we did. So my experiences were rather late in life. There was another story, a very interesting story. When I came to Britain, before you could stay in your own digs, you had to spend 3 months with a landlady. So there were about 7 of us from different parts of the world living with the landlady. Some of us shared rooms, some of us had one room. But the very first day I came in the night I heard a thumping, and somebody thumping and going up the stairs. So the next morning, it was breakfast time, and the breakfast was in the basement. And I went down into the basement. And then as I was sitting down getting ready to eat my breakfast, I heard this thumping again. And there came this very tiny Arab guy with a prosthesis, a prosthetic leg. And he thumped down and came, and then he stared at me because that was the first time he'd seen me. And he said, "My God, you look like my father's favorite slave." Now, for a Ghanaian boy in the 70s, we'd seen Black Power, civil rights had come in, we liked soul music, we were children of Kwame Nkrumah. For somebody to say that to us is highly offensive. And I really went at him, but the landlady stepped in. So I just didn't like him at all, and I avoided him because I thought if I see him, I'd strangle him or something. But one day I went to visit my brother, who was also in Britain with me. In Bath, he was doing his master's. And I used to spend the weekends with him, eating Ghanaian food and all that. And once he was taking me back home when we saw a car, which because this, my Arab friend, who was a prince, I won't mention his name, sped past us. And I saw he was being chased by Hell's Angels. So my brother said, "Look, we can't let this guy be beaten," because they stopped him and they were asking him to get out of the car. So my brother stopped behind the car, went round, opened the boot, gave me a tire spinner, and took a metal bar from the car, and we approached these guys. And they saw us, 2 big men, and they ran away. So then we escorted my friend back to the house, and as a result of that, we became very good friends. Then one day he came to me very excited, and he said, "Oh, my dad is coming all the way from the Middle East to come and visit, and he'd like to meet you because I told him about what you did." So I met this Middle Eastern prince, and he took us shopping. He bought me a suit, he got me a gold watch, he bought me book vouchers and everything. And I'll tell you something, at that time, my allowance was £60 a month. And my friend was getting as his allowance about £3,000 a month. And we're talking about 1970s, early 90s. Oh my God. So it was a lot of money, and this boy had a lot of money. So, as a young man, in my mind, I thought, okay, I mean, I've saved this man's son, I'm sure he's going to give me a handsome financial reward, which he didn't. He bought me a suit, he bought me book vouchers, he encouraged me to study, gave me advice, and he went away. So I was telling my friend, why is it that your dad didn't give me any money? He said, you know something, that was the last thing my father would do. I said, why? He said, because he didn't bring you here. You came here as part of somebody's dream. Your father sent you here to come and study. He wants you to be a lawyer. So if my father had given you the kind of money that he would give you, if he had to give you money, he would have stopped your schooling. I didn't take it well, but later on I realized that yes, that was very true, and it's become something that I think about, that you should never really mess up somebody's dream. If somebody's got a dream and you believe that dream is a worthwhile dream, you should encourage that person. So that's another seminal story that comes from the days when I was in Britain.
Oh my God. But you know, Uncle Fritz, I have to say, you really, really did exercise a lot of control, because even now, if someone ever said that to any of us, because in the chat room, I'm seeing people with angry faces. She wasn't there. Auntie Dawn, she's saying, strangling him. That is the worst thing somebody could say to you.
Yeah, but then again, I had to understand it. He didn't know any better. It is true, because when I sat down and talked to him, all his father's retainers, the bodyguards and everything, were big black men they'd imported from Sudan. So that was the mindset that he had. I later on changed his mindset and made him understand that, you know, we're not slaves. We're people of substance and dignity and all that. But then I also say something to you, and I'd like to pass it on to my African-American friends. Slaves can become kings and kings can become slaves. So it's a temporary thing. You do not ascribe that to yourself. You rise above it. It's only a condition. And so therefore, that's how we should go, you know, really. I know we've got a big fight on our hands in order to shake off the shackles of what happened to us some years back. But these things are very, very important. But I was able to change his mind, and he became my friend for a long time.
Wow.
So these are the things that I'll tell you. Then I'll also tell you about later on in life. We're talking about my younger self. I'm now 70, so 30 years ago was my younger self.
What? Guys, can you believe this? No way. You are not 70, Uncle Fritz. I cannot believe that.
I am 70. I turned 70 in March. Yeah, so
you are a handsome man. I mean, I'm
really. You're very good. You're very good for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another story. I mean, I got quite a few.
Yes,
I came back. I came back from Britain, and I was in Ghana. I didn't have a job. Things were a little difficult and everything. And then I virtually found myself in Liberia, and I went to work in Liberia. And Liberia was a fantastic experience because my sister was living there. I had a very bad experience in Ghana. And so I thought, okay, let me find something to do here. And I couldn't find something to do there because it's a smaller country with fewer opportunity. But my sister was very kind to me. She gave me a room, and I'd go out and all that. And I sing. And so what I did was I'd go roaming around, and I found a place where there was this guy who played the piano so well. And I accompanied him with a few blues songs and things like that. And we became very good friends. I found out that he was the late president of Liberia's son, Sonny Tubman of Blair. His name was Tubman. His father was William Tubman. Sonny is gone now. And Sonny and I became very good friends. So one day I was walking in town and I bumped into Sonny, and Sonny said, "Oh, let's go for a beer." And I said, "Sonny, I don't have any money." He said, "Don't worry, I've got a few places we can stop, and I can get some money off some friends, and we can go and have a beer." So I followed him around, and we got to a particular place. And Sonny went in. He said, "Come in, I've got a Dutch friend here, Surinamese friend. I'm going to say hello to him." And I said, "Look, you go, because I don't know him, and I don't want us to go around as if we're begging." So he went in, and then he came and said, "Oh, come in." So I walked in, and the guy said to me, "Oh, I hear you've been on radio and television, and you've done a little bit of work." I said, "Yeah, a long time ago." He said, "Okay, I want to do a commercial for for my business because he was a master photographer. He just bought himself the latest photo processing machines and everything in those days. And we're talking about 1984. So he took me somewhere. I met a man called Sherman Brown. Sherman Brown was the biggest television star in Liberia. And we started exchanging jokes. And Sherman said, man, I want you on my show. As a result of it, to cut a long story short, Sherman quit television and handed over his show to me. So I had a show in Liberia called Just For You, and it became a very big show. So it was through Sonny Tubman and through wandering around. So that was another story of epiphany that happened to me. And that's how I went straight into television, started producing, presenting, and directing my own shows. After a time, I got a job in England, and I went back to England, worked in England for a year. I didn't like it too much. I wanted to come home, so I came back home. And I was home. I decided that, oh, well, what would I like to do? I'd like to be in entertainment. So I was doing MCing, then I opened a bar. But the bar didn't do well because me and my friends drank the booze on the show. He didn't pay and everything. So within the year, I was flat out. So I didn't know what to do. And I went to visit a cousin of mine. And while we were sitting there, I met Miata Fambule, the Liberian singer. And she'd known me from Liberia. And she said, I'm going to launch my album in Nigeria. So why don't you come with me to help me? You'll be my MC. So I went to Nigeria with her. It was tough. I went with Abu Tila, the great guitarist, and we shared a room. Yeah, we stayed in the boys. Yeah, I slept on the floor. He slept on the bed for about 2-3 weeks. And then the day before the show, Miata, through her cousin, who was a top communications man, brought the top journalists of Nigeria for a party, and I was there. And she said, oh, this is my master of ceremonies. His name is Fritz Baffour. He's from Ghana. He can make you laugh. And the guys looked at me and they said, look, this guy looks too serious to make you laugh. So I started telling jokes. And some of these people fell on the floor. You know, they said, hey, stop. You're too funny. And that's how I got into Nigeria. Then I started the stand-up comedy in Nigeria. So another door opened. And I stayed in Nigeria. I did very well in Nigeria. And at a certain time, I decided that I'd come back home. But at that time, to when I went to Nigeria and I came back, I started Sincerely Yours and went back to Nigeria to work for the Sheraton. So while I was in Nigeria, I was still doing Sincerely Yours, coming to Ghana, doing it and going back. And that is how I looked at it and said, look, I've got to start showing Ghanaians other places in the world so that I can ask the questions they would want to ask. And that's how Sincerely Yours started. But again, Sheraton, as a director, I got a job to do a stand-up comedy to the 300 of the richest men in Nigeria. There was a place called The Club, and it was owned by the Igbos, which is a very wealthy family, a very, very influential family in Nigeria. So I went, they put me in a hotel. I went with my wife. I went down the stairs to do a sound check and everything. And there was this man sitting in the corner. And when I was talking to the technicians and everything, he sent for me and he said, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm the entertainer for the day. And he said, no, you can't be an entertainer. He was sitting with his wife. He said, he can't be. You look too serious. Your height, the way you speak and everything, and the way you're dressed. No. How can you be a comedian? No. He said, I don't think you can make a good comedian. But anyway, he said, my wife likes these kind of things. So I'd like to meet you at 5 and we'll do so I came back. And again, he said, go ahead. And I stood there cold and started telling stories. And the wife went on the floor. She said, stop. I want this man. So it was a very big success. I came back to Ghana and they sent me a telex that they wanted me to come back and put together their events. So I became something like the events director of the club, and I stayed in the hotel for 1 year. It was a lovely time in Nigeria, and I love that. So the doors have kept on opening and opening and opening. But the one that became very, very important in my life was I came back to Ghana and I got a call one evening. At that time I was a beer swilling young man. So I came back home and my wife looked at me and I saw she had an expression on her face. And I said, sweetheart, but I told you I was going out for a drink. She said, no. You got a call from the castle. the chairman of the PNDC wants to see you. You've got to call somebody. In those days, when they say the chairman of the PNDC wants to see you, there's a little bit of terror. Like you go to the castle, what's the problem? So I called a number, and this lady who was the secretary to Jerry Rawlings said, "Oh, the chairman wants to see you tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning." It's 5:30 in the morning. So, all the drink that had sort of soaked into my skin vanished, evaporated. And I went to the castle and I met Jerry John Rawlings. The first thing he did, amazing, he threw something at me, and it was a gold watch. And he said, "Oh, I've loved your programs. And, I wondered why you haven't been to see me. We were in school together way back." And I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Okay, what are you doing now?" I said, "Nothing." And he put me in, he said, "Let's go for a flight." So he put me in a plane and I went with him to Akosombo. Now, the funny thing is that the day before, a friend of mine had given me lotto numbers. And he said, "Take those lotto numbers." So I had the numbers written down and I put it in my pocket. And because I went at 5:30, we were 16 hours in Akosombo. We went on the lake, we chatted and everything. It was a great, great experience. I came back and he said, "Okay, I'll drop you home." So he gave me bodyguards. And as we're passing in front of the National Lotteries, I looked at the numbers and all the 5 numbers had come. And I hadn't stinked. I started gnashing my teeth, but anyway, it was I didn't think much of it. But as a result, we struck up a friendship and I started working with him. And he said, "Look, I'd like you to do something for me. I'd like you to go and become a director of the Ghana Tourist Development Company." And that is where I took it off, got into politics, and now I'm here. That's a story that has to be told. But it's been a great experience being a Ghanaian and an African. I've traveled the length and breadth of the world. I've been to places on behalf of my country. I've been to places on behalf of my people, my family, and so it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yes, I've had very difficult times. There have been troughs in my life. But the thing is that there's always something that I thank my existence for, that God has always been there for me. I have great family members, I have great friends. And with people like you on my side, I don't think I have a problem.
No, I think with people like you on my side, oh my God. Oh, guys, you have no idea how Uncle Fritz has been. I remember back in the day when I was doing that Rawlings film and they said, "You will never find people to talk to you. You would never even get close to Rawlings." And this here, Uncle Fritz of mine. Oh my God. Oh, that was one of the most memorable times of my life. And that's another story for another day. But
that's a great film.
Yes.
It was a very bold film. You asked some very bold and very brave questions.
You know what? I don't know if I'm that bold anymore because, that, and again, another story for another time because today is all about you. But our producer, one of our producers, she says, Uncle Fritz, producer request, of course, she says, "Please come back." And so now we're going to have a masterclass series where I think you're going to tell us how to tell stories, why we tell stories. This is incredible. And another producer of ours, Uncle Yidana, this is my real uncle, but he's also a filmmaker and a producer. And actually, fun fact, Uncle Yidana is the one that gave me your number again.
That's a very important name. Yidana means owner of the landowner.
Yes.
It's a no, yes. When you are Yidana, you are the original owners of the land. The rest are I want to tell you something. You know the Dagomba royalty, originally from Zamfara in Nigeria, they came on horses. So and then they met the Yidana or Tindana, as we call them, and they are the ones who own the land. And they had to ask permission before they could settle.
Oh, Uncle Yid, did you know that? I did not know that. See, there's another TV program we can do, The Connections. Oh my God. I think I'm coming home because we have to do these stories. This is incredible. But he has a question for you and he says, how come you still cannot drive? Is it a personal decision?
Well, it's not really a personal decision per se. When I was growing up, people were very, very jealous about their cars. My father wouldn't allow us to drive. And then I left and went to England. And in England, if you want to drive a car, then you want to add cost to yourself because the transportation system is very, very good.
Yes.
You didn't need to drive. You could take a bus, take an underground, take a train, whatever. So there was no compulsion for me to drive. And then when I started working in Britain, I was always given a season's ticket for rail travel and road travel and everything. So it never occurred to me. And all my friends, some of them very, very successful television producers and advertising executives, none of them drove. So it wasn't a compulsion. It was when I came to Ghana that I realized everybody wanted to drive. By that time, I'd grown a little bit long in the tooth, and I didn't want anybody to see me learning how to drive and laugh at me. So I just stopped it. And it's been a very difficult process, but now I've gotten over it. I'm driven around anywhere I go, and now with Bolt and Uber and all those things, I think I can get around it.
Now, there's a young girl, she's one of our, to my younger self mentees, Doris. She's watching us from the northern parts of Ghana at the moment. She says, I have fallen in love with Uncle Fritz's voice. I'm looking for that comment. And I'm asking her, how old are you, Doris? How have you not heard his voice? That's one. And what did you say? That is incredible. Let's see. She also says, TMYS, please, could you link me with... No, we're not doing that. No. Okay. No, but we joke. You tell us why you need to link up with Uncle Fritz. At this point, as his designated niece, I am going to be the guard at the door. And if we find it worthy enough, we will connect you with him in a very controlled environment for now. How does that
sound? Very important. That one of the sad things about Ghana is that there's not enough mentoring. There's not enough sharing of stories. So that's why I jumped at this opportunity to talk to you, because it's very, very important. I grew up being mentored by so many great people. Right up to the late part of my life. And it was very, very important. I always talked to older people. I listened. And I realized something, that the greatest men I ever met, like Professor Boateng, was Vice Chancellor of Cape Coast University, people like Mike Egan, all of them are very humble people. You sit with them and they teach you, and all you've got to do is to keep quiet and listen and imbibe as to what they say and whether it reflects in your life and everything. I spent time with Jerry Rawlings. I met a couple of presidents through him. I sat with them, I listened to them, and I realized that it's very, very, very important that we should learn from our older folk and also engage with them in a way that would benefit me. There would be mutual benefits. So it's very important that I always want to mentor people. I've got a few people around I'm trying to help, to push, and to talk to. It's very, very important. But I also learn a lot from them, because you can't know it all.
Yes. And I am definitely one of the recipients. And let me tell you, Uncle Fritz and I got reconnected. This is why it's so important to, again, do what he just said. When I called Uncle Fritz, it was maybe record time, a 2-minute conversation. It wasn't long. It was, what do you need? Okay, let's talk on WhatsApp, hang up. It was very quick. There was no ceremony about it. I reached out on WhatsApp right away. The response was very quick. It wasn't, I am such an important person. And he is that important. But I think the lesson here for us as Africans is, can we shed off all of that and try to pass on to the young in the future? And this is why to my younger self is very important. And ever since then, Uncle Fritz sends me a good morning text and a good night text. Can you believe that? I mean, listen, I am one of the special ones. I cannot lie, okay? Sumaya Akom says, Uncle Fritz, allow me to understudy you, please. You are a great man. And Professor Audrey, I know, she says, Uncle Fritz, are you in an a cappella group? I think she's gearing up to ask you if you can sing for us or tell us a joke. Now,
sing for you. I will. My favorite song is I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I says to myself, What a wonderful world. So.
Oh my God, Audrey, you are set. Your whole week is made. Well, my whole month and year is made, but your whole week is made. Thank you so much. I'm telling you that the comments are coming in and I can't. Yes, just learning from him. All right. That's a good reason to connect with Uncle Fritz Doris, and we can make it happen. Again, just reach out to my younger self and we'll figure it out together. Kwame says he was born to tell stories. With a voice like that and real life stories to match, Uncle Fritz is a gift to us. By the way, his younger brother, Rudy Paul, was my primary school mate. Ha ha ha, just saying.
Rudy's in town. He just came back into Ghana, so that's great. Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. Listen, we claim our fame anywhere we can, okay?
Yeah.
Let's see. There is so many people here. The comments are going so fast. I cannot even seem to. Okay, a great example of humility and availability. Not many seasoned people make themselves reachable. God bless you. Yes, you are absolutely right. Not many people at all make themselves that available. I saw a comment from Abaketo Under, and I wanted to reach out, read that. But she says, tell Uncle Fritz that Yidana directed his Gate documentaries. I don't know what Gate means. And
that's very true. Gate was it was an educational program in Ghana, funded by I think the USAID, and we did that work together. Oh, yes, I understand.
Yes, I learned the word bulwark from him for the first time. Bulwark. What myself and the editor Johnny Alassani called ourselves.
Yes.
By till this day, they still call themselves bulwarks.
Okay. Johnny Alassani was my nephew. Yes, he worked with me.
Wow. Yeah, we went to NAFTA together. I think Johnny was senior or something.
Brilliant guy. Brilliant young man. Very gifted. Yeah.
Wow. Uncle Fritz, you brought out everybody. Sharon Dacre says, wow, he sounds like the original singer. That maybe we have to organize a dance or a ball or something and have Uncle Fritz do something with us when next he's in New York. Please come to New York. We're going to have a live session with you when you're here. It'll be fun. Oh, my God. Foster says, please bring Uncle Fritz back again. Incredible experiences and stories. His story about his Saudi friend has a lot of lessons to take home. Yes, yes, yes. And this is the longest my big brother Nana has been on the show because he's so busy. Please, Uncle Fritz has to tell us about his program with and enforcing. And I have been looking for Uncle Tommy for a while now, so.
I will get in touch with him because I'm very close to touch with him. Yeah, the FNF show, there's a story there. So let me tell it very quickly. I was doing my Master of Ceremonies in Ghana. It was and that there's a story there, a very quick story that I've got to tell. George Daku came to Ghana and he was going to play. Aaaaafrica Hiiii was the biggest hit that had ever hit Ghana and West Africa, and he had come to perform in Ghana. So he was going to perform at the banquet hall, which was the only venue that could take a crowd of that nature. And so I was asked to become the MC for that show. And I walked in there, and there was the guy at the gate said, "We don't know anything about you. Where have you come from?" And I said, "Oh, my name is Fritz Baffour. I'm the MC." He said, "No, the MC is Mike Egan." So I stood out there, and he said, "I'm not going to let you in." And then somebody passed by and said, "Hey, Fritz." And the guy then said to me, "Are you Fritz Baffour, the brother of Dominic?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, Dominic was my classmate. You come in." And then the guy who commissioned me to do the thing came and said, "Oh, I would want him to come and be a co-MC to Mike Egan." And they said, "Well, then you have to ask Mike Egan." So I went to Mike Egan, and Mike Egan said, "Of course, Fritz, I didn't know you were in town. Come and help me out." You know something? The equipment that George Daku had brought was so big, so huge, it blew the electrical lines in the banquet hall. And these people were in the darkness. And with my voice and the fact that the acoustics in the hall were so good, I was able to, so I started telling jokes to take their minds off what had happened. Then the lights came on and the people said, no, we don't want the music anymore, one more jokes. So that's how it happened. So that started my career telling jokes at places and everything. And there was a lady called Carol Brady, who was a gospel singer in those days. And Carol came and did a show at the Ambassador Hotel, which is now the, what's it called? Move and Pick. And I was there as the MC. And then Tommy also came in. I didn't know him from Adam. And he said, oh, I'm supposed to be the MC. And I agreed with him. I said, let's do it together. And we started telling jokes. And there was a guy called John Usu, who was a producer in GBC. And he said, look, I'd like to do a show with you. But we didn't have the money. So I went to my dad, and my dad gave us some money, and we started doing the F&F show. And we did only 7 shows. And people still talk about it. Only 7. We didn't do any more than 7 weeks of the program. And that was in 1985. And people still talk about it. So it just shows you that, you know, people have long memories when they're happy.
Yes, and that is gold. Let me tell you, we jump on opportunities here so quick, your head will spin. I think maybe we live in a system now where we can do anything. You're in Ghana, I'm in New York, and look at us. We have a lot of people. We have people from Australia here. They're supposed to be asleep, but they're awake watching. Yes, producers, what do you say? I think we would love to have an FNF show, you know, virtual one, but it will be good. What do you think, Uncle Fritz?
I'll talk to Tommy about it. I think he'll jump at it because we just want to do one little show for the world for them not to forget us, that we brought a certain kind of comedy onto the entertainment scene in Ghana.
We will never forget you first to begin with, but I think we should jump on it, guys. Yidana, Uncle Yidana, Elsie, Sedinam, you guys are line producers. Please, please, please. We're putting this together this year in like a month. This is what we do. I'm always telling them what we should do online, which is crazy. We take a Saturday or a Sunday. I think, you know, after Uncle Fritz talks with Uncle Tommy.
I'll talk to Tommy. Yeah, I'll tell him.
Yes. And we have to put this together. I don't know what the parameters will be, but we're going to have a production meeting right after this so we can put this together. Uncle Tommy's brother, Gerald Annan Forson, when I was doing the documentary for Rollins, oh my God,
yes,
had cupboards and bookshelves filled with pictures of the Rollinses, you know, like graduations and confirmations and
everything.
Everything. And another great man. He opened his doors to me again. Never
beautiful guy.
Yes, never heard of me, didn't know me. And we went in there with our film set, crew, and we just took pictures, and it was incredible. You know, that breed is dying out. And this breed, they have seen life way more. They have enjoyed life. They've been through it all. And they are just so relaxed. Why can't we be like that? For those of us in our age group who think they've attained any success at all, it's so hard.
It's about speed. It's about speed. You know, right now, everything is so fast. If you want to learn something, you just Google it and that's it. In our time, knowledge was, you know, it was time bound. Yeah. You had to read over a period and acquire knowledge and all that. But right now, you know, knowledge is almost instantaneous. So the chance for analysis is very limited. You understand? For discourse over knowledge that has been acquired, you know, we don't investigate it enough. And that's what creates that problem. But it's a new
Ghanaian internet, internet, period. Yeah. Please work. Yeah. Go ahead, Uncle Fritz. We didn't get
so that's what I'm saying. I mean, the information technology, the speed of information coming in, the amount of information coming in is so much that, you know, if you don't take your time, you'll be overloaded. And then sometimes it gives you a certain negative thing. And when you get an overload, you have a problem.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we have to sit down and relax and meditate and ruminate over what we have and see it. But it's also from interacting with people who are older than you. Intergenerational interaction is very, very important.
Wow. Yes, and
That's what has kept Africa going.
this is true. Oral, historical oral history mainly.
No, they're just sharing experiences. I mean, look, they took millions of us across the seas, and they thought they would destroy our spirits. But right now, America, the spirit of America is almost 75 to 85% as a result of the black people who came there in the very, very exacting situations, but they contributed so much to the mental well-being of America in terms of music, in terms of the arts, in terms of the way things are spoken and are said and all that, in terms of creativity, which is a very, very important aspect of society. So, and it's from sharing experiences, from interacting, from being spiritually there with other people and all that. So these things are very important.
Wow. I mean, the questions are coming in. I just saw another question and it flew past. Can you please ask it again? Because I cannot seem to find it. But if we're not able to find it, we're going to, after the show, take our time and I'll send the question to Uncle Fritz so he can answer it. So listen, guys, we're definitely going to have an FNF show. That's a shoe-in. But the other thing I just thought about is to have a session with you and Uncle Tommy and a couple of others. I mean, to have a Q&A session. Just sit
Why not?
with you guys. And
Tommy has done very well in mentoring a lot of the broadcasters. He's been very, 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 very industrious about it. And so I think you jump at it and love it. So I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him before the weekend. And then I'll get back to you, Zoe.
I don't want to leave, but it's an hour and we have to leave. This has been such a wonderful experience, Uncle Fritz. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing your life with us.
Thank you too for having me. And I'd like to send a shout out to all those who are listening in or watching. God bless you all, and let's do something worthwhile for our countries, our continent, and the world. Thank you very much.
Yes, I wanted to shout a big amen right here. Yes, amen. Let's do a little housekeeping before we sign off, right? Coming up next week, we're having the first ever book launch on To My Younger Self. I don't want to say much, but the people that are going to be on this book launch are going to blow your mind. This book, the foreword was by Archbishop Palmer Buckle, okay? Let me tell you, incredible people are lined up to be a part of this launch. I don't want to give it away at all. I don't even want to give the author's name away yet, okay? You all have to wait until you get the information as it comes. You will be so amazed. So please show up again next week and let's have a great book lunch. This is what this show is about, showcasing our stories, especially the successful, positive ones, just so we flood the atmosphere with good, incredible African stories. This is the fabric that weaves us. And there's a saying that if you want to hide something from an African man, and I don't know why they had to qualify that, put it in a book. Now, that is not true anymore because we're now writing our own books. We're integrating our own thoughts. And when people actually take time to write, especially when they write in the times when things are not so good for them, we should take time out to support them and celebrate them. Please show up next week. You will not regret it. And there's a lot happening in July. Please stay tuned. You know what? I feel like I want Uncle Fritz to do this closing for us. I don't know. I can't even close properly today. I am speechless. There's so much going on right now. I'm just going to leave it up. Positive intergenerational interaction is very important for one's growth. What a morning at Fritz Baffour and Zoe. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yes, this has been a very, very a very great time. Uncle Fritz, I want you to close us out. How did you used to close out? Sincerely yours?
Well, same time, same place next week. This is Fritz Baffour saying bye. See you next week.
And we are done.
Right.
Have a wonderful time, guys. We love you.